Hi, welcome to Uncharted Hell. I am Violetta. I will be your guide to the third part of analysis of Starry Eyes. Sure is taking a long time, and I can't really blame technical issues. It has more to do with the operator of the many softwares I have learned. I've come a long way. But I tell you what, there was a time when I thought I was a reasonably intelligent person, and I have since been disabused of that notion. Anyway, I think I got most of the issues taken care of. Hopefully, I'm not dead up against a damn screen like I was last time I tried. And I'm not sure about the lighting, man. Lighting is some tricky shit, I tell you what. So, I'm going to justify using filters if I can't get it right. And I want to use filters anyway. I think they're great. Gotta be careful, though. Man, when I was still on Facebook, there'd be these women my age. Those bitches be so filtered up, they look like they're swimming through placenta or something. But I digress. One thing I did in between that kind of made me cringe a little bit. I went back and reviewed some of the Jung, because for the final analysis, I will be relying heavily on Jung. So I went back and looked Man and His Symbols, Dreams and Consciousness, etc., etc. And I was kind of cringing because I have presented this whole concept of persona and shadow side and individuation in such dummies format. It's so broken down and dumbed down, it almost is meaningless. I mean, I feel like I'm really doing Jung a disservice. But this is the thing, it is so complex. You can make a whole lifetime study of it, and I am no Marie Louise von Franz, trust me. This is my justification, though. Whereas the rest of us are so complex that it is sort of an insult to humanity for me to break it down as simplistic as I have. Sarah is that simplistic. All she is, her whole persona is nothing more than a thinly veiled disguise for the void. Nothing there. Empty, snuffed, just sheer amorality and ambition, which is what they were looking for.
There's something primal there, and that's why you're sitting right here in this room.
Now, don't misunderstand me, okay? It's very important that you have to acknowledge and accept your shadow side, if not embrace it, in order to achieve individuation or even truly stability. You can't keep that shit locked in too much. But not only does Sarah embrace her shadow side, man, she fucking leg humps it, okay? Because that is her individuation. That is her finding herself. This whole movie is basically nothing but a series of trials and sacrifices, a journey. Not a hero's journey, but more like a villain's journey, I guess. In order for her to accept her depravity, accept what and who she is, to achieve the most fucked up individuation possible. But it is her individuation, not transformation. And I'll get to that later. Okay, enough with Jung. Let's get back to Widmyer and Kölsch, the creators. Now, remember that her hair is like this symbol for, I say persona. They say like character, morality, personality, whatever dudes, it's persona. Okay? So, whatever happens to her hair is kind of what's going on with her, so to speak. Now, they were saying that she had, I think it was Kölsch, said she had trichotillomania. Did pretty well, didn't I? And I said, no, that's wrong. Yes, I'm correcting the creator, because trichotillomania is a compulsive disorder, and you can't stop, and you keep going, and you keep going. And it doesn't matter who's around. It doesn't matter what's going on. You cannot stop yourself. Sometimes people do their eyebrows and eyelashes and stuff, big bald patches, but they can't help it. Sarah can. Sarah, maybe she has an urge, but she ducks in the bathroom, which actually helps her regain control. So that's totally different. And one of the ways I can prove that is in the part 2, if you've been keeping up, she doesn't do that at all. And hell, there's a lot of fucking stress in part 2, but you never once see the punishment or the regaining control. Not the case in part 3. Things are going to happen to her hair. Things are going to happen to her period. We got some nice body horror going on. But now I got to tell you, like I always do, Spoilers. I'm going through this step by step by step. Please, if you haven't seen it, go see the movie because it's fucking great. And then come back. It's a lot more fun that way. Damn. Hearing voices already suck, but voice-induced seizures? That would suck loud. Now, this time it's a little different than before, the voices in her head. This isn't like a rerun of Astraeus' greatest hits. This time they're sending little hypnotic suggestions, which will occur in the next scene. Phrases like, "They're all losers," "a cancer," and "join us." Which is another thing I didn't catch at first. I'm beginning to think that I'm just not that fucking observant. But onward. Here's his hair symbolism. This time she's losing it, and the rest of her doesn't look too goddamn secure either. It's like she's molting or something, shedding, I don't know. An important scene is coming up, but before I start in on Tracy again, and I will, I wanted to give Amanda Fuller a quick little mention. I took this picture from her Instagram page, so it's fairly recent, and as you can see, some women actually are more beautiful when they're pregnant. She's looking pretty good. She is also truly underrated as an actress, and especially in another horror movie I saw called Red, White, and Blue. It's an excellent revenge horror, or revenge horror, really, and I highly recommend it, but fair warning, it's pretty disturbing, and that's not a word I use lightly. A little too real for me. It's one of those films that I'm glad I saw it, and I never want to see it again. You know, graphic on-screen violence, throw it at me, I can take it. Decapitations, eviscerations, ho-hum. But graphic emotional violence fucks me up. It really does. But I'm still recommending it, if for no other reason than to see some outstanding performances, not just by Fuller, but also Noah Taylor, who plays way against type and proves that scrawny can still be goddamn scary. And look, it's Mark Center again, and here he really shows his range because he sure ain't a bitchy little Hollywood assistant here. Just make sure you're in a good place before you watch it. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, not only because I think Amanda Fuller is great and she needs more recognition than she's getting, is that she gets to show some of that talent in this upcoming scene. She holds her own as straight woman, and that is a lot harder to play than people think, especially when you're having to play sanity to Alex Esso's demented bitch. And here comes a concerned troll in action. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had any regard whatsoever for my roommate, and she's been going around all crazy, has developed a case of face mange, and has been puking a good 2 hours solid, well, I would fucking well at least check on him, even if she did leave hair on the toilet. But now, finally, Tracy's getting curious about her roommate's crazy, though she still seems strangely indifferent to the obvious canker face. You'd think she'd at least be concerned about contagious. Fuck, I would. Still, she drifts over and looks concerned. But don't go thinking she's fucking Clara Barton or something. Though, you know, this face, I gotta cut her some slack on the vomit. I mean, at least she had the decency to do it behind her back. All right, now things start getting fucked up. Sarah says she smells something bad, I'm assuming. And she's blaming Tracy, who politely tells her that, no, she be the nasty one. Which, yeah, I mean, she's looking pretty unsanitary at this point. But this is another example of the troll. Yeah, she notices that Sarah is mighty unwashed and stuff, but doesn't even address that issue until she has to correct Sarah on the smelly. Which is bad enough, but when Sarah goes to check herself, Tracy snaps, and who can blame her? Now, right about this time is when men grab their crotch and run yiking out of the room. And I kind of wanted to skip over this, but then I thought of something, and I'm sorry, but I gotta address this. It's important. All right, sorry guys. This is the kind of thing that'll send a lot of men clutching their crotch and go running out of the room yiking. And I'm not crazy about doing it either. But it's got to be done because it is important, believe it or not. I mean, when I first saw this, I was probably like everybody else, like, really? Is this truly necessary? Not because, you know, it grossed me out, man. I'm an adult. That's ridiculous. It's a normal thing. But because it just wasn't real. And I didn't think they understood. It's like, okay, well, let's take inventory. First of all, she's telling Tracy she smells. Stinks, I imagine. Second, she's saying it's because she's on her cycle. How about that? Nice, clean word. And then going to check for herself? What? No. No. That wouldn't happen. I'm not sure that men understand just how transgressive that is. That sort of thing, you're talking basic level primal. That is a woman taboo, so taboo that in my entire long life, I have never heard of any woman behaving anywhere close to that. I mean, again, let's look at that. What? She says you stink. You stink because you're on your cycle. And I'm going to go check. And the only appropriate response to that would be some well-deserved beatdown. Okay, it just doesn't happen. So I was just calling bullshit on the whole thing. It kind of irritated. I didn't understand why they did it. But with all the symbols and metaphors and Easter eggs that Widmyer and Kölsch, and there had to be something. And then I thought about it. It's like, okay, all right, what's she doing? She's violating Tracy. Now, what did Tracy do? Violated her privacy. Now, for most of us, it'd be like, yeah, that's a betrayal. Maybe you would even stop being friends with someone for something like that. But it wouldn't be a violation. I mean, not to justify that sort of thing. But this is what she's doing. It's not just the tit for tat, which is kind of way out of bounds, but it's what Astraeus does to Sarah. Exactly the same thing. They back her into the corner, they take away her privacy, and they violate her. Pretty much, she's learning from Astraeus. That's how it's going. And even though it is like the wrongest of wrong with women, once she slept with that producer, she has crossed a moral line and she can't go back. So, violation is now going to turn to accusation. And another thing I've noticed, one of the reasons the scene is so effective is Alex Esso is a good half a foot taller than Amanda Fuller. So to see her back Amanda Fuller and you see her doing like this in the scene, it's very effective because, you know, that would be kind of intimidating. Not to mention the fact the bitch is trying to Me Too her. It's a very effective scene. And this scene coming up is also going to be fairly physical. No cat fight. But still, you know, it's more than just anger. It's again, primal, this kind of rage that come forth. So, that's how it leads into this scene. Okay, guys, you can come back in now. But I'm still not giving Tracy a pass. I mean, there's Sarah on the verge of puking up a major organ. Her mouth clearly has gangrene, and she is acting so incredibly wrong. Beyond irrational, kind of pivoting into crazy now. And Tracy hadn't said a damn word about it, much less insist on taking her to the hospital, which will become sadly ironic later. Again, this is her roommate, and ostensibly Sarah's only friend. But it takes nearly being assaulted before she can give a single shit about what's wrong with Sarah. Though I do admire the little payback shove she gives her from, I guess, the other night. You know, this is actually a very physical scene, and I can't help but think about it. It must be intimidating for Amanda Fuller, because Alex Esso is about half a foot taller than her, and she excels in scary crazy. Sarah confronts Tracy for unhinging that huge, indiscreet mouth to gossip about the producer, and Tracy knows she is cold busted. But when Sarah accuses her and the other hipster four of using that info for a nice little session of schadenfreude, she's pretty taken aback. And she says, no, of course not. They're your friends. And Sarah finally points out the obvious that no, they're Tracy's friends, not Sarah's. And she's so vehement about it that she just got to show Tracy again. They're getting good at this. So now it finally comes out how Sarah really feels about them. And she's not even trying to hide the contempt she feels.
When you surround me with these losers.
Do you even hear the words that are coming out of your mouth right now?
They're like venom to me. Like cancer. All of you guys, just all of you. You, Danny, Aaron, just like living off of me.
Oh. Couple things to notice from that little scene. Sarah is parroting the voices she's hearing from the Astraeus cult. They're losers, cancer, venom. So apparently their little hoodoo, hypnotic, telepathic manipulation is clearly working. Now another thing I noticed as I went frame by frame, I love doing this, is just how damn happy Sarah is. You can't tell when you go through the film, but when you slow it down like I can, it's obvious. And I think she finally feels the freedom to say exactly what she thinks of them, and she is fucking giddy about it. Look at her laughing. But then she accuses all of them, including Tracy, of living off of her. Now, she means vicariously. She's doing all the work and they're just talking about it. But with that, she leaves herself wide open and Tracy takes a shot. And she says, I've been covering your rent for 2 months because that job that wants to fuck you, which is actually pretty good coming from a concern troll. But damn, this face. Man, if I were Tracy, I would make some other sleeping arrangements for the night. Yeah, sorry, but you set yourself up for that one, sweetheart. Now watch this. If you look at her face, it's like she's having this little epiphany. And how the hell does she know this? She knows that envelope is there. Nobody told her, but somehow she's like, okay, look to my left, boom, there it is. All right. I won't obsess over this, but I still don't understand why they used a unicursal hexagram on their logo, something so occulty that Aleister Crowley himself used to get all hot and bothered about it. But for the cult symbol, they use this tired, tail-ass pentagram instead. Anyway, what's important, of course, is the big-ass pile of money that's in that envelope. Tracy rounds the corner and boom! Looks like Sarah got the last word after all. Doesn't seem to make her too happy, though. So she's fuming in her little rage tent, previously her angst tent. And suddenly the sheet comes off and there's a casting director and she shoves a scarf into Sarah's mouth and tells her to sleep because they have something to show her. And look at her. She really enjoyed that. Okay, you know, the first time after Sarah met the producer, she crawled in her little angst test and she shoved the scarf. That always cracks me up, I don't know why. Shoves a scarf in her mouth because it's a means of comfort. That wasn't made clear, but I had to find that on the DVD commentary. So what does the casting director do? She takes that comfort and crams it in her mouth. And the way they explained it, what she's doing is she's taking Sarah's mean of comfort and turning it against her. And I was thinking about that. This situation with Estrellas, her relationship with Estrellas, is actually very similar to an abusive relationship. If you've ever had the misfortune of being in an abusive relationship, and a lot of people have, it's almost the same thing. It seems great, offers you what you want. But then slowly but surely it starts taking things away. Alienates your friends and your family, maybe your job or school. And the circle gets tighter and tighter and tighter where you're totally dependent on that person. Or in this case, an entity, Estrellas, because they take away that comfort. She has nowhere to turn. Okay? So the way it's going, in that sense, if you look at it in that sense, the first audition, she was told that to get the role, she would have to do the hair pull thing in front of him, which was intensely private for her. And in doing so, they took away her control. They took away her self-control. And of course, that kind of went sideways anyway. The second time, out of nowhere, without any warning, they tell her she has to disrobe. Again, wait a minute. Again, they don't tell her she has to. They ask her, but they make it damn clear she's not going to get the role if she doesn't. So, again, takes away dignity, privacy, modesty. And then, of course, with the third time, with the producer, that's truly sacrificing. I don't like saying morality because that's really judgy, but in this case, because of what she's doing it for, yeah, I'll say morality, dignity, possibly some of her persona. So this is the only time in the entire movie where something is forced upon Sarah. And that's a very, very important distinction. And I will definitely get into that in part 4. Sorry, guys. I'll do better later. And I just think that's great. I mean, it's very relatable, this we're going to take this and this and this. You have nowhere to turn. You're stuck with us. And you're going to have to do what we say because we own you now. We own your soul. Literally. But just like with an abusive relationship, just when things get so miserable that you're like to say, fuck you, okay? I don't care if I'm off on myself. I don't care if I'm broke, whatever. I can't take this anymore. This is where Sarah's at. Then all of a sudden, they'll turn things around and just be wonderful and give you hope. Make you think that you can finally get what you want if you stay. And it's the same thing here. She's ready to just say, fuck it, man, I'll just die or whatever. And then, boom, they show her this image of everything she wants to become. So that's where we're at. And also, it's very important to watch and figure out what it is she really does want to become. Because it's not as clear-cut as it seems. Now, I don't care how ambitious you are. Get this sick and you be ready to give up, say uncle, or just plain die because ain't nothing worth this, not even Hollywood. So the purpose of this sadistic little visit is to tempt Sarah with a vision of what she can become. This glammed up, barely recognizable Sarah the star. Am I the only one who thinks she looks better before she's glammed up? Well, not now, but pre-Sarah. So, of course, Glamour Barbie Sarah stands right before the Shrine of Stars on the wall. Not actors, mind you, not Meryl Streep or Jodie Foster. Movie stars. Lana Turner, Rita Hayworth, Ava Gardner, Brigitte Bardot. Women with more beauty than talent because who the fuck cares about talent? Which makes sense because not only is Glamour Barbie Sarah all glammed up, she's glammed up like a 50s movies queen, not like a present-day actress. Because that is what she wants. Also, another face slam obvious pentagram to vomit its cliche all over you. All right, heads up, because things are about to get raunchy. Seriously, if you have a weak stomach, you probably ought to fast forward, leave the room or something, because we're about to get into some excellent body horror. And incidentally, the whole team worked on these special effects. They were really brilliant. The team itself was SOTAFX. I don't know if you say it's SOTA. I don't know what the acronym stands for. But most importantly, the lead coordinator, makeup designer, is Hugo Villaseñor. And he's just amazing. He makes this, Sarah goes into like this speed round body rot. Almost too believable. So get ready for that. But first, let me give you some advice. Never, ever, 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 ever watch Starry Eyes when you're sick. Okay, you know how you get that virus or bug like once every 5 years? That is so fucking horrible. It's traumatic. You never forget it. Well, 6 months ago, that's what happened to me. I guess it was about 6 months ago. I mean, sick. Like bleeding out the eyes sick. Like cholera mixed with bubonic plague with a touch of tsetse fly disease, you know. Everything was just wrong. My toenails hurt. My eyelids were too loud. My belly button throbbed. I mean, even thinking made me seasick. But, you know, that kind of awful boredom you get when you're that sick, it's like, because I was afraid to go to sleep. I was literally afraid I was going to choke on my own vomit without any of the fun. So I was like, what can I do? So, you know, let me watch Starry Eyes. I've seen Starry Eyes so often, it'll distract me, but I won't have to think. I won't have to expend any energy. Well, when this comes up, I feel every single thing, or I felt every single thing this bitch went through. It was fucking horrible. I got the I got the laptop next to me, and it's like, and I was clawing for it, you know, and finally I was able to slap it down. Oh, it was the most fucked up, vicarious experience of my life. So just do yourself a favor. Unless you're feeling tip-top, don't watch Starry Eyes. Yep, there's me. Well, okay, not literally, but goddamn, that's what it felt like. It was bad. Now, she's having those voice seizures again, except for this time it's not the Astraeus cult that are sending her these messages. She's being harassed and assailed by these voices of the hipsters saying these really annoying things that pissed her off. And again, she's having literal seizures from it. Now, it just gets worse from here. She's on her way to the bathroom and whoops, look, it's a sentinel or a ninja, maybe somebody. Anyway, she is literally decomposing. Kind of like she died a week ago, but somebody forgot to tell her, so she's still walking around. Oh, fingernails. No. I have a disturbingly high tolerance for gore, but nails and teeth. Oh, God. Check out the hair. She is molting that persona fast. Okay, now, guys, before you freak out from another yucky, girly scene, it's not what you think. Okay, I was just with this guy and nothing bothered him until this point. So I had to say, that's internal bleeding. And he said, oh, that's different. Sarah crawls into the tub and something is crawling inside of Sarah. Brace yourself now. Okay, here's the wind up and there's the pitch. She did that. That's not CGI. She actually fucking did that. And the thing is, Widmyer and Kölsch said, no, darn, you don't have to do that, okay? We can fake it. We can do special effects, CGI, whatever. But no, Alex Esso had to be all cinema verite. And she fucking did that. I mean, first of all, ooh. Second of all, that bitch is bad with a capital ass. But here's what happened. They didn't get it on the first take. So they had to keep doing it. After a while, that bravado started slipping. I mean, good God, you can understand. And she started edging kind of close to a freak out. Who could fucking blame her? This is not acting, guys. This is a genuine Alex Esso losing her shit because she just couldn't take it anymore. And baby, I would have checked out long before then. So, respect is all I'm saying. The scene here where the phone's ringing and by God, she's going to answer it no matter what. It reminded me of that movie, The Usual Suspects, when Verbal Kent is telling the cop about the Kaiser Soze tale. Basically, this macho bullshit fable about how Kaiser Soze is biggest of the bad with, platinum balls and ironclad will.
His family. Then he showed these men of will what will really was.
Fuck Kaiser Soze. This is true will. Here she is, basically mechanical meat with a face, can't even crawl, but by God, she's gonna answer that fucking phone. Okay, I'm a sick bastard because I laughed my ass off at this scene. Here she is, not a whole lot more than just like mechanical meat, doing this cadaver creep down the hallway to, by God, answer that phone. And she's got to be feeling relieved. Just save me. She picks up the phone and she says, I'm dying. And the producer laughs. So she's thinking, I guess he didn't hear me right. She says it again and he's like, I know, right? But still, she manages to pull herself together, define all laws of biology, gets to her feet, and starts walking. And something happens in this next scene, and it's real quick, and it seems very insignificant. But there's something very important that happens. I'm sure people are missing it because I haven't heard it from anyone else. And ultimately, it was a thing that tipped me over into deciding I had to make a part 4. So, don't blame me, blame the producer. Again, this is Will. Dragging her ass up to her feet, which barely even made it to the phone, but she does it because that's what it's going to take. And all the while, the producer is just plaguing the fuck out of her, kind of half mocking her, half encouraging her. She's got to be feeling cheated as hell by now, you know? Every step of the way, every time she does some personal humiliation or sacrifice, she thinks, whew, that's it. I've proven myself now. And then they go, got another one you got to do. Now, this monologue can be taken at face value. You know, what you tell a starlet, oh, you got to work hard, you have to make sacrifices if you want to make it as a star, and it would still work. But of course, that isn't the case here. Because not only does attaining your dream take sacrifice, they do too, literally. And now it's not enough just to be herself. In order to become one of us, she's got to embrace that shit. She has to go head first into the shadow. But now here's the line that got me thinking. It's time to be remembered. Now they really just gloss over that, but that's actually a very important line, and it connects to something in a scene coming up, and I am definitely going to talk about it in the analysis. Anyway, Sarah enters the final gate, and unfortunately you can't see it. You can kind of hear the scrape if you watch the movie carefully, but anyway, it is the gate, the final gate to get to where she wants. And with that, the camera pans back, and it's the hipster house. See? Los Angeles is so safe, people forget to lock their doors at night. Again, in real life, the hipster house belonged to some friends of Widmyer and Kölsch's. I think they're a band. And, you know, their house is kind of in bad condition, and they said, hey, dude, we'll clean it for you. And they go, no, don't clean it. And by God, they didn't. So now Sarah's just kind of casing the place. She's kind of drifting around and taking everything in because I don't think she knows what she's supposed to do yet. So she's just kind of going with it. Aw, look, douchebags in love. Pretty sure that they're both consolation prizes. And what's going on in Danny's van? Look who's there. See, this pick is why I think that Danny's a velvet fuckboy. Aaron's really into him. He's really into her right now. Now, the fact he's a fuckboy doesn't offend me. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with the game as long as everybody knows the rules. But Danny's making them up as he goes along. Even has the nerve to ask for a treat. Now, here's something I found interesting. You see Aaron, and she's just kind of preening in front of the mirror. And if you think about it, that kind of bookends and contrasts with the opening scene of Sarah's self-loathing. She hated the mirror. Aaron's okay with her image, as well she should be. I think Fabienne Therese is a very striking girl. And that makes this scene even more poignant in retrospect. And I'm sure that's no accident. Widmyer and Kölsch are absolute sluts for big screaming Easter eggs. Aaron gets spooked by a noise, but that's not going to stop her from making Danny a treat, goddammit. So she creeps into the kitchen, and Sarah just startles the shit out of her by saying one word, bravo. At first, Aaron is so relieved that she is some kind of murderer. Well, you know. It doesn't register with her what Sarah has said or why she's even there until Sarah yells at her not to touch the light, and she kind of just stays in the shadows so Aaron can't see her. So then she tells her that Danny only gave the part back to Aaron because she let him, and I quote, put that revolting thing in you. Revolting's pretty strong. And see, that proves my theory that not only is Sarah not a sexual person, the very idea revolts her. So now they get into this little dueling slut shaming, except instead of calling each other slutty, they tell each other that they're sad. I'm not sad, you're sad. But I think Aaron is genuinely surprised and a little hurt and also probably a little defensive. I'm sure she probably knows unconsciously that she is just another teammate in the fuckboy playoffs. Now, Sarah's being really nasty, and she mocks Aaron for wanting the role in the film that Danny would have never made anyway. And Aaron turns it around and mocks Sarah for sleeping with an old producer for a B movie role. Boom! Now what you gonna say?
It's a gateway part.
I laugh way too much at that. So Aaron gets in one last shot, she goes for the light, and then she sees Sarah's face. And something really unexpected happens. Turns out Aaron's a bitch with a heart of gold.
Sarah, what happened to you?
don't touch me. Sarah, don't touch me, Sarah. No. Stop it. Stop it. We need to get you to a hospital. No.
Now, something that really bewildered me. On the DVD commentary, Widmyer and Kölsch said, remember that little scene where Sarah was kind of like half-heartedly agreed to be in that little movie Danny was never going to make anyway. They said that was her last chance to make a moral choice. This is her last chance to make a moral choice. She could have accepted Aaron's compassion, gone to the hospital, carnage canceled. But even if she was going to die, it'd be better for her to die than gang kill a bunch of slightly douchey but innocent hipsters. But Aaron's reaction completely threw her. She wasn't expecting that, neither was I. And she didn't know what to do. She panicked. So compassion was the last thing in the world she expected, especially from Aaron. Even though there's been this tension between them, bitchy and hostile, but still kind of a connection there in a weird sort of way. But Sarah's terrified of intimacy. She can't let people get close. Not because they'll find out what a monster she is, but because if she forms a relationship, it'll get in the way of her ambition. And she can't have anything thwart that ambition. That's why she's had this whole thing with Aaron. So Aaron's offer of kindness to save her, the proof that she has cared about her the whole time, Sarah panics and reacts with violence. It's the only thing she knows to do. Now, the sick thing about this, but I still contend it's true, is that the next two scenes with Aaron in it are the only time in the whole movie that Sarah shows any sort of intimacy at all. And I'll explain better when you see it, how she gets in close and gets in closer with Aaron than she does anybody else. Sarah's panicking and she's agonizing over this last moral decision, and I honestly don't think she knew until that very moment what the producer meant by sacrifice. And the Astraeus voices are assailing her again, encouraging her, "Oh, it feels good, join us, blah, 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 blah." In anguish, and for the very last time, Sarah pulls her hair, which comes out right along with her scalp, and the persona is gone. And you can tell that she's had kind of like this sick moment of clarity. And now she finally embraces who she really is, what she really is. All shadow all the time. The void. And soulless bitches don't give a shit about compassion. Back to terrible intimacy. This is what I mean. Look at how close she is. It's almost like a lover's embrace, or the way a lover would murder, I guess. It's personal. Not just because Aaron has been at her jock the whole movie, but because she dared to care. Widmyer and Kölsch definitely used some gallows humor with the next two, but they didn't pull any punches with Aaron, which is why I only took stills. The video is too pathetic, and her cries, ugh. Well, you're watching a murder of a very complicated but very decent, very innocent human being. I've always said half of horror is giving a shit about the characters. That's why most slashers don't work for me. But this made me cringe. Now, if you're getting the wrong idea and think that makes me a nice person, you might not when I tell you that this next insanely hilarious overkill is my second favorite scene in the movie. Now, from the beginning, Poe and Ashley were just set up to be one-dimensional, ridiculous victims. Pitch black comic relief, kind of props, really. And I think they're really just kind of there to take the edge off the ones you sort of give a shit about. But first, I need my gear.
Hello, person.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11. There is nothing left of that head but like brain meats and skull shrapnel. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not funny. It's not funny. In real life, that would be terrible. It would be tragic. Believe it or not, actual violence sickens me. You know, I give peace a chance. But that's fucking ridiculous. You know, it's just so out there. There's something hilarious to me about overkill. It just slays me. Sorry. Anyway, like I said, to me that's cartoonish. That kind of thing doesn't scare me. This scares me. See that face? I don't scare easily, but that face creeped me the fuck out. I mean, persona gone. Welcome to the abyss. This bitch has well and truly gone dark. Notice Lionheart here never even bothered to help out his not Aaron girlfriend. Every douche for himself, I guess. He tries to run, but then he steps on Sarah's scalp and whoops, goes down. And of course he shrieks like a little girl called Prissy when she's stabbing him violently. In the meantime, there's poor Erin just Rasputin her little ass off. Play dead, bitch! God, they never listen to me. And Sarah is on her. Okay, this is what I mean by sick intimacy. She wraps both her arms and her legs around Erin to hold her still. I doubt that Sarah's ever been that close in her entire life. They didn't fake this, by the way. She really was pulling that bag over Erin's face. They would have to take breaks so the poor bitch could breathe. And little Rasputin is no more. In the meantime, Danny wants to know where the hell's his damn treat. And Sarah's there. Here comes the dynamic that nails my theory that he's a VFB. Unlike Erin, he immediately wants to know why Sarah's there. And did she see Erin? And what did they talk about? You. Oh, right. Yeah, motherfucker. Oh, right. You been caught. But he quickly downshifts into deflection. And once again, he dimes out Tracy. She told us she fought. We're all so worried. Talk to me. We can help you. Now, Danny can't see her face, but she's actually laughing at him. You? Help me? But Danny doesn't know this, and he approaches and says, yeah, I'm your friend. Sarah kind of scoffs at this and basically tells him that not only is he not her friend, none of them are her friend. So he comes forward and said, you know, that's not true. And here's the big reveal. Now, the funny thing I noticed is that she didn't want Erin to see her face, but she wants Danny to see it. And I guess that was the divide between, you know, old Sarah and new Sarah. So, and here's my big reveal. This scene hurt. Yeah, Danny's kind of trifling. He's shallow. He's a low-key fuckboy. But really, he's also a decent human being. And like Erin, he's immediately alarmed when he sees Sarah. He genuinely is concerned and wants to help her. But Sarah is merciless. And so is Widmyer and Kölsch. Yeah, they turn Ashley into sacrifice Barbie and Poe as a girly man joke. But they don't spare you the ugliness of Erin's and especially Danny's murder. It is up close. It's personal. It's gruesome, cruel, and it's actually pretty pathetic. The cries that Erin makes and Danny begging her don't and asking why. It's pretty brutal, really. So brutal that Noah Segan had to wear this prosthetic torso so Alex Esso wouldn't, break his fucking ribs here. When Danny asks her why she's doing this, Sarah's reply is that she only wants one thing. And here comes the money shot. They see the real me. So this rotting, hideous, gleefully violent Sarah, this shadow Sarah, This is the real Sarah inside and has been all along. And here come the Sentinels to whisk her off wherever. Here's a little bit of trivia. One of those Sentinels is one of the directors, Kevin Kölsch. Dude in the middle, maybe. I don't know. So all along I've been calling these people douchebag and trifling and fuckboy, and to a certain extent that's true. But then it's set up where you see the whole movie through Sarah's eyes, and you see them through Sarah's eyes. That's what she thinks. We have no idea what they're saying about her when she's not around. There is no omniscient point of view. They could be off really talking about, hey, wow, we really admire her. We're actually worried about her. What's she been doing lately? We don't get to hear any of that. It's obvious at the end that Aaron and Danny truly cared about her, unlike Tracy. So it's kind of jarring, because this whole time you've been rooting for her, and you sympathize with her, and you root her on, even when she does these icky, morally flabby things like sleep with the producer, and we feel this gross out, terrible sympathy for her when she's like falling off in chunks, and then boom, all of a sudden, we find out she's a monster. And Widmyer and Kölsch makes damn sure we know she's a monster by making Danny and Aaron's murder as vicious and pathetic and cold-blooded as possible. There's no laughs there. It's actually even pretty rough for me. They have pulled off the greatest bait and switch I've seen in a long time, because they set it up where you're rooting for Sarah, and then all of a sudden they flip the script and you find out you've been rooting for a monster. And if you've been rooting for a monster, what does that make you? And wrapping up part 3. Yeah. Not a whole lot left. There's not much to the ending at all. And I'm going to breeze through that because, my opinion, there's not a whole lot of significance. I mean, yeah, plot-wise maybe, but metaphorically, not a whole lot. Not my favorite part, actually. But we can get through that really quick, and then comes the fun part, or it is to me at least, and that will be the final analysis of what the fuck does this movie mean anyway, because it means something. And I think there are a few things that people are missing that totally change the game. Even better, I'm going to be relying mostly on Wingy. Believe it or not, his crazy Illuminati conspiracy theories, remember, he thinks this is literal. He doesn't think this is fictional, that this actually happens in Hollywood. His theories actually work really well with this plot. I mean, it's fiction, so, and actually brings everything together and helped me at least coalesce the whole movie. So, Crazy Man next time, that's going to be fun. See ya.